Fighting with one of the more famous Final Fantasy weapons, the Gunbreaker wields the Gunblade, a combination of a gun and a sword capable of shooting ethereally infused bullets. This new tanking job came with the Shadowbringers expansion pack, and as of Endwalker is the newest tanking job in the game. But what does it mean to be a Gunbreaker in Final Fantasy XIV? Well, I think it's time we look into it. The Gunbreaker originates from the land of Bosia in the southern part of Ilsbard. It is a land shared by many races, though the largest population are the Hrothgar, which were our new race in Shadowbringer. Once the land of Bosia was fraught with conflict between the diverse races of the area. But eventually the land was united under a single queen called Gunnhildur. The name and title Gunnhildur has ever since been given to every queen of the nation. Different from most monarchy, the queen is not chosen by blood or wealth, but rather from those capable of communing with the ancient gods of the land. Those chosen by the gods earn the ability to read the stars, and from these people, the most favored by the gods is picked to be the queen. This means the queen can be from different races, though they have most commonly been Hrothgar simply because of the large Hrothgar population in Bosien. The land of Bosien was united and strong, which is good because this was the third Astral era, which was the height of the Allegan Empire, which very much like the modern Garlean Empire, wanted to rule everything and everybody. And unsurprisingly, eventually the Allegan Empire invaded Bosien with the intent to take it over. And this is where we first hear about the Gunbreakers. The Queensguard soldiers were known as Gunhildur Blades. They were specially trained and seen as some of the strongest warriors of the time. And they were given the task to lay siege to the Allegan Empire's powerful ranged weapons, and to literally break their enemies' guns with their gunblades. And that's what they did. They literally broke the Allegan guns, and from that the name Gunbreaker was created. Bosia managed to remain free well past the Fourth Umbral Calamity, though around that time the city-state began crumbling, and eventually the old Bosia fell and was rebuilt into what is now known as the city-state of Bosia. This is a nation of great inequality, especially when it comes to wealth, where 7 out of 10 earn less than half the average income, and 1 in 3 live in squalor. So when the Garlean Empire rose to power, and just like the Allegan Empire before them, turned their eyes to Bosia to take it over, there was really nobody strong enough to oppose them. So 50 years ago, the Garleans invaded Bosia and took over the region. Bosia became an important part for the Garlean Empire. The city of Bosia became the main area to explore the power of the moons, leading to what is known as the Bosia Incident. The Garleans wanted to know if they could utilize the powers of the moon to beat their enemies, which led to them using a communication tower to try to communicate with the Dalamut moon. And from there, about 5,000 years of pent-up energy shot down into the communication tower and decimated the city of Bosia and the surrounding area. And while Bosia lays in ruin, it doesn't mean the people of that nation have given up. And many are still building up resistance to try to claim the land back. But notably, the Gunbreakers also were not lost to time. What is very common for the Garlean Empire is to force people into servitude, especially as fighters. And that is what they did. Many of those capable of wielding the Bosia gunblades would be forced into servitude for the Garleans to fight for them. And that applies to the man who ends up teaching us how to become a Gunbreaker. And the most notable feature of the Gunbreaker is their weapon, a combination of a gun and a sword. It is quite unique, though the Garleans also utilize a very similar gunblade, though it is not the same. The Garlean gunblade utilizes a traditional gun attached to a blade, or sometimes a spear or a hammer. They are quite creative with just taking whatever weapon and putting a gun on it. It uses regular ammo and is just literally a gunblade. But the Gunbreaker gunblade is different. It is a sword combined with a firing mechanism capable of shooting etherically charged ammunition. emitting a range of magical effects, which is something the Garleans can't do, because the Garleans have no ability to control either, so they can't imbue their bullets, leading to the Boscia gunblades to be far more fierce of weapons than the Garlean variety, which is little more than just a cumbersome sword with a gun on it. Now, as a Gunbreaker, you will take on the role of tanking. You lead the dungeon, set the pace, and your job is to make sure everybody stays alive by making sure the boss is kicking you instead of your healer. Out of the tanking job, the Gunbreaker is seen as the closest to a DPS class. But what does it then mean to be a Gunbreaker? Well, it means you play a tank with a magical gun, which is pretty cool, but it also ties you back to the dark and tragic history of Boscia, the birth and fall of a nation, and its horrifying destruction during the Boscian Instant. You have been lucky enough to meet a Gunbreaker from Boscia to teach you the art of wielding the gunblade, and you may even be somebody from that nation or have heritage back to it. That is really up to you to decide. But overall, it means you hold a vast history of really cool weapons in your hands. Now tell me, did I miss anything? Do you like playing a Gunbreaker? Do you prefer it over other tanking jobs, or do you find it more difficult to play? I'm definitely curious, as it's one of the tanking jobs I have the least experience in. Now, I release regular Final Fantasy lore videos, so if you wanna make sure to not miss any of them, subscribe, press the notification bell, interact with the video because it really helps with the algorithm, and of course, share this with a friend. Maybe a Hrothgar or a Gunbreaker. Whatever you end up doing, I hope you have a lovely day.